Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the new Rapid Fire Dice Boxes from Tempest Terrain. This is their fantasy edition of their kits. They have done sci-fi versions originally with the container crates, the military kind of container crate style thing. If you don't know how they work or what they are, here's an example of the mausoleum style version. And how it works is like a hopper, you fill the top with your dice. You have that at the side of the table. And then when you're like, okay, my Guardsman squad is rapid firing, so I need 20 dice. You go 5, 10, 15, 20, boom, ready to go. So it just makes it very easy and accessible for you guys to count out your dice and keep the game flowing at a really good pace. Now, I'm going to give you a tiny bit of backstory just so you know where I'm coming from. Tempest Terrain did actually reach out to me for their first Kickstarter, which was the sci-fi style one with the bunkers, and asked me if I wanted to get involved with it then. And I'm very dubious about kind of jumping on top of all of these different projects because I do get asked a lot, will I show this off? Will I help this out? Can I send you this? And there's just so much stuff. And a lot of it is honestly not that interesting to me, or I don't think it's a very kind of worthwhile project. I don't think it's good for people to get or something like that. And I know that my word is only given to you guys once. And if I make a mess of it once, then that's it. It's so hard to get it back. So I turned that down, and it's only when I met this guy face to face at Adepticon and I got my hands on with the awesome product that he produced, I was able to pull out stacks of dice, and it was very smooth action. The model looked great. It was definitely what you see is what you get, which then made me a lot more comfortable to do this video, sharing the new designs with you guys. So that's what I'm going to do in today's video. He very kindly sent me out the two versions, which is the Fantasy Cottage version, which as you can see is fully painted in front of me. This is my favorite one. The Mausoleum is also incredible. It's for all you death players out there, all you Vampire Counts players, or anything in between. This is the one for you guys. So I decided that in today's video I was going to paint up the house, show you how I did that step by step, how the mechanism works, and tell you a little bit more about the box. As of this video going live, the Kickstarter for the fantasy range is live right now. So if you want to go check that out, it is linked down in the description below. Go and show Tempest Terrain some support if you like this product. You can either get them as physical ones straight to your front door, or you can get them as STL files and print them out for yourself. So it's a win-win situation for all. Sorry about the extra long intro, guys. I just felt like I need to get that a little bit off my chest before I dove into the video. So let's do it. Okay, so this is the kind of medieval cottage style rapid fire dice box, the one that I am most excited for and the one that I shall be painting in today's video. As you can see, it is a fairly detailed miniature, especially since how it is actually just a game aid tool. He has put a lot of work in it. This guy clearly knows what he's doing when it comes to design, and it is quite a clever thing. If you've been following on Instagram over the last couple of weeks, you'll know that he's been showing off all his like little prototypes and stuff that he was doing a few years ago, trying to figure out this, make sure the system kind of work. And it was really cool and interesting to see the kind of development of this idea and what it has become now. So there you see how easily it folds out and becomes the rapid fire dice box. You can even store the dice inside it, bring it to your game, crack it open, and then immediately start grabbing dice. This is the kind of mausoleum style death version of the rapid fire dice box. The one that I won't be doing in today's video, but I'm sure will get painted up in the next couple of weeks. You slide off the bottom, you pull open the top. There is a little latch to lock those in place as well. So when you do have dice, they're not going to just kind of push those open and fall over. The reason you slide out the bottom is because that side bit there that folds down, which catches the dice, and you pull it from. That obviously will not open and close when this thing is on. I'll give you a quick example of that now. When I put the floor back in, you can see that it just stops it. So that thing slides off. You can store extra bits inside there if you so wish. But it's a very simple fix for a very silly problem. So I gave the model a quick spray of matte black. Not very well, as you can see lots of the original plastic showing through, but that's okay. The most important thing was, here's me trying to open it again, forgetting that it's locked. I keep forgetting that it has that mechanism. That it's nice and dark inside, because I won't be painting the inside of it. I did think about it. I was wondering, should you do something with the inside? If I was tempted to do like lots of like dark metals and rust or hazard stripes or anything like that. I don't know, but I just left it as a nice clean black. Maybe on the sci-fi one, which I need to get my hands on now, I'll do something like that. But for this, I just kept it as nice and black. So the first thing I did was grab more gassed bone and a stipple brush. One of the Artist Opus dry brush that I like to stipple with. And I'm just going to stipple in, all of those flat panels in between the wood. There's a name for this style, you know, that English style house with the, I don't know what it's called, but it's, yeah, that style. It's got that nice like plaster inside of it. It's usually an off-white color. So I'm going to quickly stab it with more gassed bone. which gives this nice mottled effect, nice like textured pattern across the piece. And then from there, when it's all done, as you can see, you can obviously clearly see which panels are done in that color now. We are just going to pull that color up by one more step. Every part of this model we're going to do as a very simple 2 steps. That's it. We're going to get this thing painted in no time, and it's going to look awesome. So you shop the bone is part 2, and we're going to stipple that on again, but just going a little bit lighter, just add like a little bit of kind of highlight to it. Not going crazy, but it looks really nice. I'm of course suffering from that thing with there being a giant matte black piece that I'm painting that the camera does not know what to lock onto. So it usually has a preference for my fingers until a little bit more color comes on the piece, and then it finally knows what I'm trying to record. Okay, after this, it's time to start blocking in all of that awesome stonework. And for this, I grab my trusty Mechanicus Standard Grey base paint. Add a touch of water to it so it's nice and flowy. And then I'm going to quickly paint in all of the rocks and brick parts, not hitting that Wattle and Daub style wall piece. I know it's not actually Wattle and Daub, that's like mud and twigs and stuff, but whatever that is, yeah, not hitting that because we basically finished that off until we add a little bit of weathering later. I'm going to do a little weathering surprise to you guys later on, which I think looks really nice. But yeah, nice dark grey to start off all of these old bricks with. Being very careful going around things like the arch of the door. There's obviously a huge big chimney on the back. Obviously those blocks go all around the windows and stuff. I suppose that's the fun thing. If I decide in the future that I don't want to use this as a rapid fire dice box, it's still just an awesome piece of scenery for my fantasy table to just block it down and play games. Catachan flesh is what I used as a base coat for all of the wood. That includes the door and then all of those wooden beams that are holding up all the panels on the side. There is also, which I didn't notice until I started kind of painting the roof, there is some roof tiles missing, as if they've slid off, as if the building itself was in disrepair, and there's some flat panels underneath it. I did these bits in this Catachan flesh tone as well, as I believe there would be kind of like wooden boards up and then the tiles would go on top of that. So I think that's the easiest way to do that. And of course, making sure to block in that door, not hitting any of the gray areas. We'll be layering those up in a moment. Okay, with those bits in place, it's time to block in the color for the roof. And I did think about this for a while, what kind of fantasy style roof I was going to go for. In the end, I went for trusty red because I already have a set of fantasy ruins myself, and red roofs is what I chose for them. So this guy will sit right nicely in with that set that I have. Originally, I started doing a Mephiston red. It was far too bright. You can literally see a little bit of a poking over the other side of the roof now. I deleted that footage and I moved over to corn red for a much darker starting point, which I think suits the building a lot more. We just paint over the wrong red that we put on earlier. You'll notice that I'm painting this entire building with a very wrecked brush because that's how scenery works. You can just get away with an old, tired, frayed brush and it'll do just as good as a nice, expensive brush. Here the building is with all of its base coats on, and already it looks fantastic. You could finish off like this if you so wished. I, however, am going to push it forward a little bit more with each of those steps, just to make it stand out and pop a little bit more. So for the roof, we're going to go for Wazdaka red. And all we're going to go for is like that kind of stabby technique, that feathering technique. We're still using that same gnarly brush. We're loading up the paintbrush with some red. And as you can see, I'm always pulling the brush towards myself and just getting a couple of scratchy lines across each tile. I know they look quite stark when I first put them on. It looks a little bit strange, but as they dry, it darkens down a little bit, blends in with the previous color a lot more than it looks now. And it does look like a very nice highlighted roof tile with very little effort. You will notice in a moment, I will show you a side-by-side comparison of half of the roof done with the highlight and half of the roof not done with the highlight. And you can see that does actually make quite a nice bit of difference. So here's the side that is not done, and here's the side that is done. Very simple technique, only takes a couple of seconds, but you can see it's night and day between the sides of the roof as to which looks better. Same idea with the stone. I am just going to jump up with a nice Dawn stone color, which is just a slightly brighter gray to the one that I base coated all of those blocks in. I'm going to choose a direction, usually a diagonal direction when I'm doing stonework. Don't ask me why. And I'm just going to start that same scratchy technique across all of those kind of blocks and buildings. Now, you're maybe wondering why I'm doing this technique. You probably haven't seen me use this kind of technique before. Well, this is the kind of technique that I think most people should employ when they're painting 3D printed scenery. Because no matter what the quality of 3D printer that you have, you will get what you think is the smoothest rock surface or flat wall you can think of. Once you throw a dry brush over FDM scenery, obviously the lines will just appear on the piece and it's just not what you want to see. So I think just taking that extra little bit of time using an actual brush and feathering it out, it'll give you a fantastic result, and you will forget that it's a 3D print by the time you've finished painting it. Going on with all of those wooden boards, we are going for Mornfang Brown. And same idea, we are just going to feather those down. The lengths of them kind of going with the direction that the wood grain would be. I'm sure there's a reason that I held that paint there for so long. Maybe I was just enamored by Mornfang Brown, but we shall leave it in anyway. And here I am, as you can see, like I said, following the wood grain and doing that same effect. You don't have to be incredibly neat. You're not trying to paint knots in wood or anything like that. A couple of lines is all you need, and it always looks so stark when you first apply the paint, but once it dries, it dulls itself down a little bit and it just blends in with the previous color a lot more, and you'll be fine. But it does make a nice difference to the color. You can see that nice stone, that nice kind of mottled wall, the nice brown wood and the nice red roof. The building is starting to look really nice, and it's taking very little effort to do. So hopefully all of you guys out there who are going to back this on Kickstarter, get your physical project, print them out for yourselves, will be a lot more comfortable getting your models painted up and be using them in your games very, very quickly. You can see what I mean, following those wood panels down. There's no real thought process. There's no careful, no glazing or any of that madness. It's just add a bit of brown to the darker brown and it'll look great. Bit of lead belcher. I'm going to use that for the catch on the side, just to lock that in place. It's a nice little design. You could do it in gold, you could do it in silver, just make it stand out a little bit more. I like it. And then obviously there's a door ring on the front door. I don't mean like a doorbell, I mean like a metal ring that you hold to pull the door open. I'm going to do that in silver as well. Now it's time to add a little bit of weathering to this awesome piece, and for that I'm going to grab one of my favorite things, which is the Dirty Down Moss. It is an amazing tool. I've done whole videos on how to use this thing, and it always just adds such a nice bit of color. This building goes from looking quite cartoony, quite kind of good fantasy, if you know what I mean. It's all bright and vibrant. If you go back to like medieval times, no house is going to look this clean or fresh or anything like that. So I find the Dirty Down Moss, the Dirty Down Moss painted between some of the cracks in the wall, between all the bricks, anywhere where water would settle a little bit in the roof and stuff like that. It's going to make the thing look much older, much more worn, much more lived in. And I think it looks really good for absolute minimal effort. After that, I am going to indulge myself with a slight use of the airbrush because I just want to do something nice with that dark window in the middle. Want to make it look like it's glowing or dark or something like that. So all I'm going to do is grab a little bit of matte white color. I'm using the air paint from Army Painter. As you can see, I'm just very quickly going to blast the inside of each panel with a little bit of white, making sure I get a little bit of a kind of an overflow to give that kind of glow effect. It took maybe 10 seconds to do that, if that. And then after that, I'm going to grab an Intensity Ink Phoenix Orange from Green Stuff World. I don't know if there's a different one out there. It's just the one that I like using for plasma coils and stuff on Titan. So I decided to use it for the window to give that idea that there is some sort of roaring fire inside of this thing. Maybe it's dusk or dawn or it's a little bit dark out there. So you're going to get that nice warm light on the window and make it look even more lived in. And there we have it. There is my finished example of the new Fantasy Cottage from the Rapid Fire Dicebox. Like I said, this thing is on Kickstarter. As of this video going live, the Kickstarter has gone live, and I implore all of you to go and check it out. And if you think it's something that's going to excite you, interest you, or be useful for you in your games, then think about supporting him over there. He's a really nice guy, and he's doing some really cool stuff for the community. So there's me struggling with the clasp once again on this thing. I think it looks really cool, even the choice I made for the matte black part. So once you crack it open, you see a nice clean black interior, which is like the usable part of it, and then all of the nice kind of fantasy housey bit on the outside. I definitely think that for sure works. My next game of Old World, this will be on the side of the table, and I'll be using it to count out all my dice. So, awesome.